First off, I want to thank everyone for being here in service to World Healing. And as you know or don't know, my name is Sonia. And every second Sunday of the month, we are doing a monthly broadcast for World Healing. During the calls, we'll be exploring healing using the Christ codes through quantum explorations. Feel free to invite your friends and family to join us in a world movement to shift consciousness and bring heaven to earth, utilizing the Christ codes. For those of you who are new to this forum, the Christ codes were birthed through me as the oracle of a living light language to activate your divine genetic blueprint for removal of psychic implants, Bible programming, and belief systems so that you may fully embody your divinity. If you'd like to know more, please go to ChristCodes.com for more information about our offerings. First off, I'm going to set our sacred circle by calling in a Trinity formation of Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine Ascended Master teams, along with the solar archangels. So I'm calling in the East, I'm calling in Hathor, Horus, and Archangel Gabriel. In the South, I'm calling Mother Mary, Saint Germain, whom you may recognize as Joseph from one of his other embodiments, and Archangel Antari, he's a galactic archangel. I'm also calling in the West, I'm calling in Kuan Yin, Avatar Babaji, and Archangel Michael. And in the North, I'm calling in Mary Magdalene, Jesus, and Archangel Uriel. And holding the diamond points for each one of these triad directions, I am calling in Archangels Arcturus, Pegasus, Orion, and also Archangel Gabriel. And finally, in the center of our circle, I'm calling in White Buffalo Woman, Mother Gaia, and Archangel Metatron. And I acknowledge these forces of light and ask for their guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good for everyone involved. As we are released from the space-time continuum, may we embrace our divine knowing and healing through the unification of our hearts, minds, and spirits with our divine self. All right, for the focus of our work today, it's going to be in the healing of ourselves first, because healing begins in the heart and is an inside job. No one else can do your inner work for you. Since we are part of the quantum field, whatever we heal in ourselves will automatically be healed within the quantum field. So today we're going to look at some quantum portals for healing suffering, not only on a personal level, but for the collective as well. So how does this actually work? Everything operates through cycles, and I've posted this fractal image to give you an example of just how expansive these cycles can be going in and out. Thus, we can heal from one point within the space-time continuum, and all we need is to look at the patterns within the cycles to go deeper. And so to begin, we're going to be looking at the current solar cycle that we're in right now. And the solar cycles assist us in tending to our spiritual gardens. We're presently in the solar cycle of spring, and Archangel Raphael is the overlighting presence who ushers in the spring equinox. And in this timing, we have an opportunity to be resurrected and made new through the spiritual birth of the Christ mind. In the next cycle, Archangel Uriel will usher in the cycle of death to the ego during the summer solstice. Here we have the opportunity to jump off the precipice of our former belief in closure and casements. And at the time of the vernal equinox, Archangel Michael ushers in divine law, where we take on the karmic burdens of our past unknowing for transmutation. And lastly, during the winter solstice, Archangel Gabriel opens the gate of enlightenment, where we bring down all the energy we have raised up through the chakras for integration. So let's begin by looking, I'm sorry, we're still on the same slide. Hold on. Okay, so we're now on June 10th, 2018, and the sun is in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. And through the influence of Mercury, one receives instruction, discipline, and guidance from the higher mind. Gemini is an air sign, so we are working with alignment of the mind through the yang or masculine polarity, which works through the fifth chakra. Also in this particular cycle, the moon is in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, working through the fourth chakra or matters of the heart. Taurus is an earth sign, so we are dealing with issues of power and one's level of receptivity within a yin or feminine polarity. The moon in Taurus reflects our record of stewardship over persons, places, and things, and your attitude of giving and receiving. So in the cycle, there's an opportunity for the divine feminine and the divine masculine to come together in unity consciousness. Unity consciousness is Christ consciousness. So there is a potential in this cycle for birthing the Christ mind through conscientious stewardship and a receptive mind. And in our work today, I want you to imagine this starburst as a solar clock. And there's 12 arms here, and each arm represents a month. And each wavelength within this clock, you can see all these wavelengths moving out, represents a year. So no matter where we begin, our starting or our destination point affects the whole field. All right, now there are cyclic doorways that we can use every day. And each day of the year is an access point to corresponding timelines. So the cycles move in a spiral action. Thus, the sun, the planets, and the lunar phases may be different from the origination point. And if we look at the spiral movement in this fractal image, you can see the spiral action where it appears as a different alignment than the previous one. So you can see this as a spiral goes down, you can see at each point is actually moving and circling into a different location on the field, in the field itself. And so this gives us a full spectrum of the solar, planetary, and lunar influences that we pass through as we're moving through these cyclic patterns. Another doorway into the portal is your birth date. This is a connection point to access other live streams. So in your birth date, you have more access to your soul mission, to your grace, to your sacred names and grace names, and they're more available during your birth date than they are at any other time of the year. So everything is recorded in the sacred atom of the heart, and thus can be accessed through the heart. So we are quantum beings, and we are constantly either creating or destroying. And in this present declining Kali Yuga age, we are experiencing the effects of our destructive thought forms and actions. Each thought creates a wave in the field, which then affects all the other waves in the field. From that one source beginning, all is connected. And so this fractal diagram or image shows you just how expansive that field can be. And this image of the heart is just showing all the layers of experience that are being recorded within our heart, within the sacred atom of the heart. So I recently saw a play about the Dutch colonization of Manhattan Island, Mannahatta, after the indigenous tribe that once lived there. And when the Dutch started trading with the Mannahatta tribe, unbeknownst to them, they entered into contracts with the tribespeople, which in essence turned the Mannahatta lands over to the Dutch. So when the Mannahatta realized what had happened, they rose up against the Dutch, and the Dutch, in retaliation, started killing the tribal people, and built this 12-foot wall to keep out the natives. And in our timing, that wall is called Wall Street. That wall was Wall Street was an actual wall back in 1610, and it happens to be the seat of power at this point for our money transactions in the U.S. and throughout the world. So what's interesting is when we go into the historical record for June 10, 1610, we find that the first Dutch settlers arrived from New Jersey to colonize the island of Manhattan. So what's interesting about this is some coinciding events. First off, if you look at the year 1610, it includes the number 6, which represents the month of June, and the number 10, representing the 10th day of the month. And these types of coincidings actually are often hold prophetic messages. And in numerology, 1610 adds up to the number 8. So the number 8 energetically initiates us in the balance of power. So in the historical record, with the Manahattan tribe, we have the usurping of power. And in 2018, with the moon in Taurus, which is an earth sign, we also are dealing with issues of power. So you can see just from this one reflection that we're still in this on June 10, looking at issues of power. So in summary, in 1610, we see that these relationships of power and stewardship of lands are still playing out, and there's an opportunity to work in community and cooperation. But instead, humanity took the low road, and through a lack of receptivity to the higher mind of the divine self, man failed to birth Christ consciousness in the cycle. Looking further into this record, we can see in 1610, the Dutch merchant incident escalates into World War II. So in 1940, the German-Dutch cruise ship Atlantis sinks a Norwegian tanker. And in 1940, this is all happening on the same day. Germany, the 5th Armored Division, occupies Rouen, France. Italy declares war on France and Great Britain as part of its Axis alliance with Nazi Germany. And Norway surrenders to Nazi Germany after 62 days of fighting. And Canada declares war on Italy. So what we continue to see here, again, is power issues, stewardship issues, and lack of receptivity to the Christ mind. Again, we have a coinciding 330-year cycle where the Dutch cruise ship, we have the Dutch in this picture again, once more appearing as merchants. And if you're wondering, a cruise ship is a merchant ship with concealed weaponry. So if we're looking at numerology again, 330 is a 33 master number, which also corresponds to the spiritual birthing of the Christ mind. So I hope you can see these cyclic scenarios that I'm pointing out to you. Continuing on with the historical record, things continue to escalate, and in 1942, in World War II, the Nazis burned the Czech village of Lidice, and 173 men and women, men and boys were executed, and the women and children were sent to different concentration camps. Also in 1944, Nazi forces carry out a massacre of 642 civilians in a French village. Also in 42, 218 men and women and children are massacred. And you can see as we go down that this is just an escalation of these same energies. And so what we have here is a lot of human suffering. And we have spent thousands of lifetimes learning from suffering. We have used every form of suffering to discover what our divinity can create in a world of form. However, it's important to remember that we're on a journey, and so there's no destination point to end our suffering. We're merely learning how much we're ready to transform our relationship with suffering in order to move forward in our consciousness. So suffering is a great teacher, and we use our creative energy to create endless forms of suffering. And in our innocence, we can't understand our suffering. We believe our prayers will never be answered, and thus we feel alone, abandoned, and fallen from grace. And I know that this was my own personal experience as a young child. I just couldn't understand the things that were happening to me, and I felt like my prayers weren't being heard. And from these conclusions, I felt that source was flawed, and by accepting these illusions, I became addicted to suffering. And I in my heart, I feel like that's kind of a disease of humanity. We all have become addicted to suffering in one form or another. So while I was doing research for this gathering today, I was looking at the diaries of the Holocaust victims in World War II, and I was really overwhelmed by the level of suffering they endured. It was this really intense moment where Russia had come into the war, and they were defeating Germany on the front, and the last concentration camp was still operating and they were actually building clothes and ammunitions for the war front unit, and all the other concentration camps had been exterminated at that point and closed down. But there was still this last concentration camp, and the people there were somehow able to get news of what was going on in the war, and so they were in this pivotal place of hoping that the Russians were going to save them from this death, this impending death that was looming before them, and so there was this incredible amount of suffering that they were on pins and needles, hoping beyond hope that they were going to be saved. And so when you look at what causes a person to lie down and allow themselves to be victimized to such an extreme, it's really that it comes down to a fear of suffering that keeps us in this perpetual loop. And most people are afraid of looking at how much suffering is ruling their life. And most of us avoid doing the inner work to end the suffering out of fear of being consumed by their feelings, because to be able to really stop this cycle, you have to go into your heart space. And in the heart space, we're connecting with the womb or source itself. And in that space of infinity, we feel overwhelmed. We feel like we're going to be consumed by our grief. And so we avoid taking ourselves into that place and really, which is the only place that you can really truly heal yourself, is to go into your heart space and into that void of the nothing, and address these issues that are coming up. So this is what an unconscious addiction does. It's our consciousness tends to shut down when we talk about suffering, because we are connected to the collective consciousness of suffering. And suffering, as you know, can be a living hell, and it certainly was for the people in this cycle of initiation and in the concentration camps. But we can transform our personal and collective addiction to suffering by creating love rather than continually to create through suffering. So first and foremost, to end suffering, it's important to build a whole connection to the power of your divine nature through your divine or higher self. Taking actions based on divine guidance by listening to your heart is really essential. Shifting your suffering by creating challenges that inspire you, lavishing your inner critic that is crying out for attention with unconditional love. The inner critic, let's face it, the inner critic has been chastising us for a long time. At least mine has. And so to give your critic a new job of encouraging you to be happy, to be mature and proactive. And gratitude is really so essential when you want to let go of this criticizing role that you've been playing out for lifetimes. So thank that inner antagonist for helping you to remain addicted to suffering, because it really was serving a purpose. And finally, support yourself in being seen and loved for your magnificence, because we truly are magnificent beings. We're made in the divine image of Creator herself, and we have all those divine qualities within us. And we have been programmed into believing that we're not worthy of those gifts, and we don't even use them. We use them every day, but we use them in a very negative way. We're always using them in a destructive way rather than in a positive and creative way. Well, actually, everything is creative, but we're going to use it for positive or for negative is the real question. So today is a balsamic moon, and this phase of the moon beckons us to turn our attention inward to the deepest parts of ourselves. It is a time to connect with spirit and the divine energy that lies within. It's also a time to get in touch with hidden aspects of yourself, a time of letting go. Now, we've all heard about letting go, but what does that really mean? So, one of my teachers was really big on always saying to me, let it go, stop indulging in the past. And what I thought that meant was that I shouldn't put my attention on it, that I should just forget about it. And that's how I, for years, dealt with the picture of letting it go. But letting go really means spending time in meditation, contemplation, soul searching, and prayer, and then attending to what arises for recognition and healing in that moment. That's what letting go is really about. We need to really come to terms with all the hidden aspects of ourselves that have been running our lives, and all the programming and mind control that is so prevalent on the planet, that we're being brainwashed through every minute of our lives. We need to start pulling back from all that chaos and really take heed of what's going on inside of us. And that means all the way down to a cellular level. So in the butterfly effect, I love this image, by the way. It's a beautiful fractal image of an image that you saw earlier in this slideshow, but this is just an even more compacted version of that same imagery. And in the butterfly effect, we have the phenomena whereby a minute, localized change in a complex system can have large effects somewhere else. And this is exactly what we're going to do here today. We're going to go into the quantum field and we're going to start shifting some of these events that have happened and that have affected our history and our present day events as we speak today. So I just wanted to give you an example of what I mean about this. So I was once working with a man and his family, and he was a devoted light worker, and his wife was very much stuck in the third dimensional illusion, all the programming, and she wasn't supporting him in his spiritual life or his vision for world service. And so she wasn't amenable to working with us. So we called in her higher self during a session, and the higher self was in agreement. And it's always good to, when you're working with someone, to call in their higher self to make sure that you do have that agreement. And so we called her in. We called in the rest of the family. We called in the family pets. We called in the parents and the grandparents, and even the ex-wife. And we all kind of had a powwow. And we sat there and held the field in love, and we asked everyone present there, to look at how much suffering they had created not only for themselves, but also for all their ancestral lines dating back for generation after generation. And when I asked them to look at what they had created, there was a lack of receptivity and there was an unwillingness to do that. So what we did is we just sent love into the field, and we just kept holding love and sending it out. And eventually, uh, they started seeing uh, what we were asking them to look at. And eventually, they began to come into a place of forgiveness within themselves and with the other people that they had harmed for whatever reason. And so, as we began to see the energy move in the field, it began to move in like a torus-like action, a donut, kind of a donut-like action. And the energy started circling all the way from the front of the line where we were healing directly with the present day family, and it was moving all the way out into the field, back to all the ancestral lines, and then coming back to center. And as I was witnessing this happening, uh, the energy, the love energy began to increase, and there was a healing going on, and there was just a great, I guess you could say, a family reunion of lovingly embracing one another, and and it was truly a beautiful sight to see. And and while we were working, apparently some of the inner earth races were also aware of what we were doing, and they came in and thanked us for our work. And because we had affected their timelines as well when we were doing this work. And we even went further into the field. At that point, I called in the root races, and I saw how powerful this healing was. And I called in the root races, and I did the same thing with them. I asked them to start looking at all the suffering that had been created through centuries of suffering, and the same thing happened. There was a resistance to them wanting to look at what their creations were. And eventually, as we continued to send love into the field, the energy started to open up, and there was again a great healing. And my teachers came in, and I could tell that this work had an effect on multiple timelines. And so I'm sharing this because I would like to embrace this type of work today with you. And even though the family that I was talking about has not the work that we did has not physically manifested in their life, it's because when we're working with energies, the energies are happening instantaneously in the quantum field, but it takes longer for that energy to actually filter down into your physical body. So this is what's so valuable about the Christ codes. The Christ codes are an energetic blueprint through language, through sound, through symbols that allow you to reach into the quantum field. And then there's also a set of numerical values that are DNA ciphers that actually takes the energy and brings it into your physicality. So we are also going to be working with the Christ codes today. So after we do the healing, we're going to work with some Christ codes that I received when I was in meditation to work with today. But before we start that, I'd like to work with the Christ code mantra for a little bit. Those of you who have been with me for a while and have been exploring the Christ code mantra, I think you are feeling how powerful it is. It actually acts as a electromagnetic pulse, and it just blasts out whatever is out of alignment in your field, and just kind of just takes it out of commission. And we have a lot of cords that are attached to us, that are all kinds of programming and wiring to, I kind of look at it as an electrical system where you've got all these things that have been shorted out in your divine genetics, and then all these false programs have been placed inside. And what the Christ Code Mantra does is just blast out those false programs and aligns your divine genetics and your energetic field so that you can start accessing some of these hidden aspects of yourself that have been stuffed down over many lifetimes of suffering. So I'm going to sing the mantra just a few times, and then I'm going to say the numeric code to kind of set the tone for our work today. So here we go. Ak imu ovi, 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 ak imu ovi. All right, I'm going to sing it again, but now I want you to all sing it with me. Everyone's on mute, so just sing your heart out and just let yourself feel this frequency. This is such a powerful frequency. It has the ability to really amp up your spiritual vibration, and as you work with it, it'll eventually get to a point where it just levels off and maintains itself all by itself. You won't even have to do the mantra anymore, but you're going to want to, because every time you do it, just makes you feel so good. So let's do it a few more times. Ak imu ovi, 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 ak imu ovi. One more time. Ak imu ovi, ak imu ovi, ak ovi, ak imu 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 ovi. Okay, so that song has 9 cycles of the mantra. So we've said it now 27 times, and I like to do the DNA sequence, which is going to anchor it into our physical DNA in a 3-to-1 cycle. So I'm going to just do the DNA sequence now for you. It's 010 030 030 090 040 030 060 040 070. Now, if you want to say this with me, the numbers are 133 943 647. And we surround them in zeros because we want to bring the energy to 0 point. So that's the reason why we're placing zeros around the numerical sequence. So it's going to be 010, 030, etc. So let's do this a couple more times together. 010, 030, 030, 090, 040, 030, 060 040 070 010 030 030 090 040 030 060 040 070. All right, so when you're doing this at home, I encourage you to really explore what's going on in your body when you say this mantra and when you do the numerical sequence. Really just follow the sound into your body and see what comes up for you to witness and what comes up to be witnessed and healed in the moment. And this mantra can really take you very far just all by itself. you can work with it for a long time. But there's also more codes that are available. Anyway, I don't want to get into that right now. But anyway, uh, there are more codes. All right, so let's moving on. So the image we have here is called the Metatron Cube, and it's the energetic blueprint for all form and consciousness. And it has the sacred geometry for all the elements: fire, earth, water, air, ether, plasma, and bioplasma. And so we're going to use this image as a point of light to enter into the quantum field today. And you can work with your eyes open or closed, it doesn't matter. You can actually just gaze at the image while we're doing the work, or if you find that you're not able to go deep enough in that way, then just close your eyes. So let us begin our journey. And so let's just take a few deep breaths. Now let's call in our higher self and just see your water flowing down over your head into your crown chakra, through your third eye, into your heart chakra, and just feel your higher self washing away all the cares of the day. And within the sanctum of your heart is a gold chalice. You just see the waters filling up and overflowing and running down your spinal column into your legs, down your feet, all the way down into Mother Earth. And your higher self is connected to Mother Sophia, to Source, and you have your connection to Mother Earth and your connection to your heart. So you've got a Trinity action going on now, and this pillar of white light is surrounding you. And we're going to now kind of go into let's just stand in a circle as a group inside of the Metatron Cube. And I just wanted to paint a little picture here. Now, there is a barrage of movies going on about superheroes. And why do you think that is? The reason we're seeing all these movies about superheroes is because we are superheroes. We have, let's face it, we have all these powers from Source. We are a replica of Source. We have wonderful supernatural powers. And what these movies are trying to show us is that we can go in and change reality. And there's so many movies. There's the Schwarzenegger movies where they went back in time and they changed the past to affect the future. We have the Matrix movies where they did the same thing. They went in to the program and they took out the old program so that they could put up a new program. And you have all these, messages coming from Source through different creative ideas, letting us know that, wow, we're superheroes too. We've got these powers within us. So let us use these powers in the field today. So I like to go back to 1610, and let's journey back to the Dutch landing on the island of Manhattan, and let's paint another picture. Let's paint a picture that where people are acting from their hearts rather than from greed. And so, the Dutch land on the island of Manhattan. They see a great abundance of resources, of natural, beautiful land and water, and game abounds. It's just so plentiful, and they see that they can send some of these furs and things back to their families and help support their families back at home. And so instead of having the Dutch killing the Manhattan tribe, let us have them sit in a powwow with us now, like we did like I told you, with this other family. Let us call them into our sacred circle, and and just have them witness what it is that they created back in 1610 and all of the suffering that has come from that. Let's just look at that picture and have them see this extensive line of suffering reaching out all the way into the present time. We have the wall of, uh, I'm going to call it the wall of Manhattan, is now Wall Street, which is a power center for the world to take advantage of people, to steal people's money from them with this system, these trading systems that are always designed to support the greedy and to take from the poor. And so let's just end this cycle right now. And I'd like to call in White Buffalo Woman. She is a powerful Divine Feminine Ascended Master, and just ask her to gather in our circle all the people in this story that have hardened hearts, that that there's always like a Judas in the crowd that wants it all, doesn't want to abide by the community rules, and is only thinking for themselves. And let's face it, all of us probably have done that in one form or another as we were growing up. It's something that we were taught. We thought that it was normal. We thought this is a normal way to act. And let's just call in some of these figures. Let's call in the trader who was the man who wanted to take from the Manhattan tribe. In the story that I heard at the Ashland, at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, there was I forgot what his title was. He was some sort of military person, and he was just concerned about power and greed and wanting to take all these natural resources from the Manhattan tribe. And so he set into motion things that we're now dealing with today. So let's take him. Let's call in Hitler. Let's call in Stalin and all the other figures in World War II history, that all these Gestapo military people who were following the orders of Hitler. All these people could only do these atrocities by shutting off their heart, by killing their own hearts and reflecting their own hurt and hatred, self-hatred, onto the Jewish people, onto other people. So let us just take all that hatred and just bring it into the light and dissolve it. And I'm seeing White Buffalo Woman coming in with a stream of angels and just pouring light and dissolving all that hatred that has reached out throughout time and is still operating in our own time, and in cutting the cords of that stream of consciousness, freeing up our consciousness so that we can now feel the love, receive the natural grace and community of being with loved ones and family, being here in the circle, feeling the angels all around us, just beaming light into the circle, and taking out these instruments of darkness and sending them off to some reform school where they can learn in another world where this consciousness is still alive, where they can learn through how would I say this? The best way to learn is by experiencing the suffering that you have inflicted upon someone else. And so taking these individuals and allowing them to live out what they created for others so that they can really learn not why, but what they created in that selfish moment. And let us call in the energies of the Christ in the cycle of spring, where we're being blessed with the Christ energy and calling in the Christ codes, the beautiful healing mantra, and just feel ourselves being filled with this beautiful energy. And now that we are cleared that space, I'd like you to just witness what is coming up in the field for you that maybe is something that you did as a youngster or even as an adult that you truly are sorry for and regret, that you did from a place of ignorance and of unknowing, a place of self-hatred, a place of judgment, and you are truly sorry for whatever harm you have created. And let us put that in the field for healing. And I'm asking the archangels and the ascended masters to pour forth their divine love and healing embrace. And just let us release all the guilt, all the shame. Just take a deep breath. Feel the gratitude for our life, for the love in our hearts, and for the great beautiful Mother Earth that we live on. Now let's just experience this for a moment. All right. And now I'd like to move back to 2018, and I'd like to call in President Trump and some of these world leaders in North and South Korea and China and all the world leaders throughout the world, and just have them become this part of this powwow that we're in, and looking at this historical record, the ancestral record of all the pain and suffering that we have endured for countless generations because of our addiction to suffering. And I'm asking these beloved ones to find forgiveness in their heart and to let go all of the control and the gamesmanship that has played out throughout history. Look at all the suffering that it has created in the world. And I'm asking these beloved ones to embrace the forgiveness for themselves, embrace forgiveness for those who they feel have harmed them. And let us as a group continue to shower love into this field for these lost souls that are wreaking havoc on our earth and Mother Earth. And let's send that Christ code mantra pulse, electromagnetic pulse to them through the field and blast those energies out of their system so that they will wake up and see what the hell they're doing. And I like to sing the song one more time to just reverberate this energy into their field. Ak imu ovi, 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 ak imu ovi. And again, one more time, the numerical sequence to anchor this energy into their physical bodies, into their physical DNA. 010, 030, 030, 090, 040, 030, 060, 040, 070. And I'd like to finalize our work today with some additional codes, which are going to bring in energy to balance the power through a powerful birthing connection to a new world, a new level of heart awakening and embracing of humanity as one family, into source consciousness through the messenger of truth. I am calling out Archangel Michael, White Buffalo Woman, and all messengers of truth to send forth their lightning bolts of energy into the field and blast out all the lies and illusions and messages of hate and consumerism and all the whole mess. Just blast it into oblivion so that more love can be received into each one of our hearts, and Mother Earth can receive these great blessings, and we can start transforming our planet into the great paradise that it once was, and restore it once again through the power of our prayers, through the power of our intentions. And with this new code, it's Ju Cox Esk, Zev Cox Ru, Su Excel Tiz, Ju Cox Esk, Zev Cox Ra, Su Excel Tiz, Ju Cox Esk, Zev Cox Ra, Su Excel Tiz. And the numerical sequence is, now this particular sequence is only digits: 195, 866, 517, 834, 866, 935, 175, 653, 298. All right. And just, once again, just send all your love out into the field and allow yourself to receive that love for yourself. Feel the wonderful healing that is being bestowed upon us by the Divine Feminine Ascended Masters, Divine Masculine Ascended Masters, the solar and galactic archangels, all blessing us with tremendous love and light. And I would also like to thank Divine Mother Sophia and Mother Gaia for all the knowledge and healing that has been awakened here today, and for the great healing that we are all experiencing. Now, in our next new moon, which is June 13th, it brings with it the energy for creating a vision. So in preparation for this next cycle, I challenge you to create a new vision for yourself that will inspire and challenge your creative genius. Throughout the month, I further challenge you to use the information that is being reflected to you throughout your day, whether personally or collectively, and take it into the quantum field for healing. Let's be proactive. Stop getting stuck in the muck of all the illusions, and take what is rising up in your consciousness, either personally or collectively, into the quantum field and transmute it through the Christ codes, through your prayers, your intentions, and create a new version of reality, one that you hold in your heart. You know, we all came in with a purpose and a vision for this timing, and so it's let us start connecting with what that really is. And finally, I am looking for a core group of light workers to do quantum work on a cosmic scale, building into a council of light where we can go in and be used in larger platforms of cosmic service. Now, I started doing this kind of work back in 2008 with a group of triads, just like we had present today. We had triad ascended master groups joining us, but I was working with people on the earth plane groups, and we were called into service to do work on the cosmic plane, and working with greater cycles of energy that go way beyond what we're dealing with here on Earth. But we also can use it for Earth itself, because it's all connected. And so whatever work we're doing on the cosmic realm is also going to affect us here on Earth. So I have been looking for, like I said, a core group to start working this way at least once a month. And if it's successful, if we like what's happening and we see progress, then maybe we can do it more often. So if you're interested in that, I would ask you to please send me an email at contacts@christcodes.com. And if you're interested in registering for the Christ Codes Basics Workshop, which is presently ongoing as we speak, you can go to my website and get more information and register if you're so inclined. And lastly, I just want to thank you all for being here today. And I want to wish every one of you a very, very blessed day. And I hope to see you here next month as we continue to explore the Christ Codes and quantum healing.